Somewhere right now, a smart window is canceling a neighbor's baseline before it ever touches the glass, and a palm-sized drone is sitting on a backyard pad, ready to launch the second someone crosses the property line. Both are real, both are on this list, and neither one is what people picture when they think about problem neighbors. Every gadget here is linked down in the description, in the exact order it shows up. Stick around, because the deeper this list goes, the harder these get to believe. Picture the same person cutting across your lawn for the 100th time, except this round, they get drenched. The Orbit Yard Enforcer is a motion-activated sprinkler with a 40-foot range and a 120-degree sensor that fires a sharp burst of water at anything that moves through it. People, stray cats, raccoons, the neighbor's off-leash dog, nobody gets a free pass. Day only, night only, and full 24-hour modes let you decide exactly when it stands guard, and it flips back into a normal sprinkler when it is off-duty, so it earns its patch of grass twice over. It runs about $89, and one reviewer swears they aimed it at the driveway and soaked the mailman on day one. Sometimes the collateral damage is half the appeal. Here is a stranger thought: what if the neighbor's shiny new security camera simply could not tell who you are? Reflectical's Ghost are eyeglasses built for exactly that. The lenses and frame bounce back the near-infrared light that face-mapping cameras, doorbell cams, and night vision rely on. So on their footage, your face turns into a bright, featureless blur while your own vision stays perfectly clear. This is the kind of privacy tech that used to live in research labs, and it walks the line between clever and slightly unsettling. A pair sets you back around $208 direct from Reflecticals, and if you have ever felt watched every time you step outside your own front door, this is the quietest possible way to disappear from the lens. Porch pirates, fence hoppers, that guy who keeps letting his dog treat your yard as a restroom, the Ring Floodlight Cam Wired Plus deals with all of them in one shot. It marries a 1080 PHD camera to a pair of ultra-bright LED floodlights that flood the whole yard with light. The instant motion trips the sensor. Two-way audio lets you talk directly to whoever is standing there, and a built-in siren climbs to 105 decibels when a warning is not enough. Custom motion zones keep it from crying wolf over passing cars, and everything streams live through the Ring app from anywhere in the world. It goes for around $180, though it slides under $120 on sale, often enough to wait for one. Pair it with a doorbell cam and there is no blind spot left on your property. Now let's flip from watching the neighbors to shutting them out. These Saichang acoustic foam panels are 12-inch wedge-cut squares of high-density polyurethane, and mounted on the wall you share with a too-loud living room, they swallow a real chunk of thumping music, blaring TV dialogue, and the general noise that leaks through plain drywall. A 12-pack is about $15. Installation is peel and stick, with the included tape, and the only catch is patience. They ship vacuum-packed, so give them a day or two to fully expand before mounting. They will not erase every sound, but the gap between a bare wall and a foam-lined one is something your ears clock the moment it is done. If water is not your style, maybe sound is. The Gagster Irritator 5000 takes the old hidden noisemaker idea and loads it with 11 different sounds. A dripping tap, a squeaking door, a chirping smoke alarm, a quacking duck, a distant siren, and 6 more that fire off at completely random intervals. A magnetic back sticks it to anything metal, the battery lasts months, and the whole trick is the variety. Right when the target thinks they have finally identified the noise, it becomes something else entirely. Grab one for about $12. It even ships with a sticker reading "You got pranked by" with a blank line for your name, because apparently signing your work is part of the fun. No wires, no batteries, no app, just a sign that says everything you are thinking without you opening your mouth. This smart sign aluminum plate reads, "If you can read this, you are in range," with a target graphic sitting underneath in case the message was too subtle. It is weatherproof, UV coated, pre-drilled for mounting, and measures 14 by 10 inches, ready for a fence, a gate, or the edge of a driveway. A 2-pack runs about $14. Is it understated? Not remotely. Does it work? Every single time. Once in a while, the strongest deterrent on the whole property is simply being very, very clear about where you stand. Odds are, somebody watching this right now lives next to a dog that never stops. The Modus Ultrasonic Bark Deterrent is a handheld unit that sends out a high-frequency tone only dogs can hear. Aim it toward the barking, press the button, and the dog goes quiet. That is genuinely all there is to it. The range reaches 50 feet, it is dead silent to human ears, and it does not harm the animal, it just interrupts the habit. USB rechargeable, pocket-sized, and effective on everything from a Chihuahua to a German Shepherd, it comes in at about $18. If you have lost sleep over non-stop barking through the wall, you already know why this one exists. Trail cameras were built for hunters tracking deer, but they are just as good at catching whoever keeps tampering with your property. The Cam Park connects over Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, shoots in crisp 2K with infrared night vision, and triggers on movement in 0.3 of a second. Every photo and clip lands date and time-stamped, which is exactly what you want if it ever has to back up a complaint. Strap it to a tree, a fence post, or a wall bracket near the property line and let it sit. It is weatherproof and battery run, so there is no wiring at all. Around $60. And the beauty of it is that nobody ever realizes a trail camera is a security camera. While cameras cover the outside, there is one gap inside that almost everybody forgets: the inch of open air under the door. A shocking amount of hallway noise, neighbor conversation, and low bass sneaks straight through that crack. This dual-sided draft stopper seals both faces of the door at once, trims down to any standard width, and sticks on with adhesive strips in under 5 minutes. It costs roughly $10. It was designed to keep heating bills down, but for anyone stuck next to a loud apartment corridor, the quiet it buys is worth far more than the draft it blocks. Fair warning up front, this one is for people who have genuinely hit their limit. Skunk Scent Spray smells exactly like a fresh skunk blast, and if you have ever driven past that specific horror on a highway, you already understand what you are dealing with. One short spray outdoors and the stink hangs in the air for hours. It is non-toxic, leaves no stain, and hides in a pocket-sized bottle for about $13. Mature? Not in the slightest. Effective? Overwhelmingly. The reviews read like short horror stories, and where you land on that spectrum is entirely your own business. This is one of the two I promised you at the start, and it still sounds like science fiction. Denoise is active noise cancellation, the same trick inside a good pair of headphones, built directly into a window. Tiny actuators mounted on the glass read the drone of traffic, a barking dog, or your neighbor's endless bass, then generate an inverse sound wave that erases a big slice of it before it ever reaches the room. No window replacement required. The whole thing runs from an app, so you can toggle it per room or even pipe music through the glass itself. Instead of stacking foam and vinyl on a wall for weeks, imagine flipping a switch and watching the noise floor drop. It is still rolling out from the company directly at denoise.com, and honestly, of everything on this list, this is the one that feels 5 years ahead of the rest. 2 AA batteries, 2 full years of runtime, no wires, no charging cable, no solar panel to angle at the sun. The Blink Outdoor 4 shoots 1080 PHD with infrared night vision, carries 2-way audio, and adds person detection, so you only get pinged for people, not every passing branch. Local storage through the included sync module means 0 monthly fees, and it drops right into an Alexa setup for voice-controlled live views. A 2-camera kit lands at about $120, each one mounts in under 10 minutes, and the magnetic base lets you reposition it whenever you want without drilling a single new hole. For wireless outdoor coverage at this price, it is genuinely hard to beat. What costs less than a fast food combo and can launch a grown adult clean out of their chair? The Screaming Banshee. This tiny box lets loose a random, high-pitched shriek at intervals that never repeat, so the target can never brace for the next one. It hides behind furniture, inside a cabinet, or taped under a shelf, and the battery lasts for weeks on a single charge. Pick one up for about $10. The Amazon reviews are a goldmine of office wars and roommate revenge. Just hide it well, because if someone finds a Screaming Banshee before the battery dies, you had better have an alibi ready. What if your fence could push back? Anti-climb fence spikes are polycarbonate strips lined with pointed prongs that screw or stick along the top of any wall or fence. They are sharp enough to make climbing over deeply unpleasant, but not sharp enough to actually injure anyone, which is precisely why they stay legal as a property deterrent in most areas. Each strip covers about 3 feet, they shrug off sun and rain, and they come in black, brown, and white to blend into the fence you already have. A 10-strip pack for roughly 30 feet of coverage costs around $18. Once they are up, they send a very plain message to anyone eyeing your fence as a shortcut. Got a chain link fence that offers exactly zero privacy? These slats fix that in an afternoon. Privacy slats are rigid plastic strips. You weave vertically through the links of the fence you already own, and they block around 90% of the view without you replacing a thing. They come in green, brown, black, and beige to match the yard, and a box covers about 10 linear feet of 4-foot fencing for roughly $86. No new posts, no permits, no contractor, just you, the slats, and a couple of hours of weaving. What you end up with looks deliberate and clean, and it puts your neighbor's line of sight firmly back on their own side. Here is the other one I teased, and it is the closest thing on Amazon's whole orbit to owning your own airspace. The Sunflower Bee is an autonomous security drone that lives on a charging pad in the yard. Ground sensors called sunflowers watch the property, and the moment something crosses a boundary that should not, the bee lifts off on its own, flies to the spot, and streams live aerial video straight to your phone before setting itself back down. No joystick, no piloting, no flight school, the system flies itself. It is the kind of hardware that used to belong to warehouses and estates, now shrunk down for a single home. There is no impulse buy price tag here. You request it directly through sunflower-labs.com, and it is worth a look purely to see how far backyard security has actually come. Cameras let you see the problem, but if what you truly need is to stop hearing it, mass-loaded vinyl is the serious upgrade. Foam absorbs echo inside a room. This dense, heavy sheet blocks sound from passing through the wall at all. Think of it as the difference between a sponge and a brick. It hangs or mounts straight onto the wall between you and the noise, and a 4x10 foot roll weighs about 30 pounds and costs near $55 depending on thickness. You cut it to size, staple it to the studs, then bury it behind drywall or paneling. It is the same material recording studios trust, and if you are done negotiating with your neighbor's stereo for good, nothing else here comes close. This might be the cleverest gadget on the entire list. The Dogtech Sonic Birdhouse looks like an ordinary decorative birdhouse you hang on a tree or a fence post, and not a soul gives it a second glance. Inside, though, is a microphone and an ultrasonic speaker that catch barking within 50 feet and answer with a tone only the dog can hear until the dog quietly learns to stop. No wires, no visible electronics, and zero confrontation with the neighbor. It is battery-powered, weather-resistant, and completely covert for about $30. The neighbor spends weeks wondering why their dog suddenly calmed down, and they never once suspect the cute little birdhouse hanging in your yard. This one is strictly for a real, documented dispute. A 64GB mini voice recorder captures over 700 hours of audio, wakes up on its own the moment it detects sound, and timestamps every file. It is small enough to clip to a belt, drop in a shirt pocket, or leave on a windowsill near a shared wall. It is USB rechargeable, runs on one button, and offloads files to any computer like a plain flash drive, all for about $37. Whether you are logging repeated late-night disturbances or keeping a record of a face-to-face conversation, it carries real weight paired with consistent timestamps. Just read up on your state's recording consent laws before you set it running. Zero setup, zero cleanup, maximum chaos. Liquid fart spray comes in a small pressurized can and delivers a concentrated burst of what can only be described as olfactory warfare. One quick pump and the area is uninhabitable for several minutes, and because it disperses straight into the air, there is nothing to find, nothing to pick up, nothing to trace back. A single can is about $13, which makes it the cheapest item on this entire list and, dollar for dollar, arguably the most devastating. The reviews swing between horrified and deeply impressed, usually in the same sentence. Deploy responsibly or do not. We are just here to show you what Amazon sells. Tired of paying a monthly fee just to use a doorbell camera you already bought? The Aqara Video Doorbell G4 is the way around it. It handles face recognition entirely on the device instead of in the cloud, so there are no recurring charges, no data leaving your home, and no privacy trade to make. It plays nice with Apple HomeKit, records locally to a micro SD card, and even ships with a small indoor screen that shows who is at the door without you reaching for your phone. Motion detection, two-way audio, and 1080p recording all come standard, and the whole thing is about $90. Smart doorbell security without the subscription tax, exactly the way it should have always worked. If glasses that blind cameras were not enough, how about a sweater that does it? Cap Able is an Italian design house weaving what they call adversarial patterns straight into knitwear. Bold, almost artistic prints that read to a human eye as just a striking sweater, but to a facial recognition system look like anything except a person. Wear one past a camera running detection and, instead of tagging your face, the software throws up its hands. The Manifesto collection pieces run around $300, which is squarely designer fashion territory. But that is rather the point. This is privacy you can literally wear out the door. It is the sort of concept that makes you realize how much of daily life is quietly being scanned. If the neighbor is going to be loud no matter what you do, sometimes the smartest move is to simply drown them out. The DreamEgg D3 Pro serves up 29 non-looping sounds: white noise, brown noise, fan hum, rain, ocean, and more, with a built-in rechargeable battery so it follows the noise anywhere: nightstand, office desk, hotel room. The non-looping part is the whole trick, because your brain eventually catches a repeating pattern and stops filtering it out, which defeats the point. This one never repeats. It is about $41, adds a soft nightlight and a shut-off timer, and proves that not every neighbor problem needs retaliation. Sometimes the real win is a full night's sleep. Once the noise war settles, it is time to handle the physical boundaries. Defender bird spikes are stainless steel strips meant to keep birds off ledges, but they double neatly as a fence-top deterrent for anything larger trying to climb over. You get 20 feet of coverage per kit on a UV-resistant polycarbonate base, flexible enough to bend around corners, pipes, and uneven caps, mounted with screws, adhesive, or zip ties. The set is about $25. They look intimidating, though the rounded tips are designed to discourage rather than injure. Line your fence, tops, ledges, and wall caps with them, and you have a permanent barrier that needs no power, no upkeep, and works every single day. Alright, back from serious to gloriously stupid, and honestly this list would feel incomplete without it. A remote control fart machine comes with a small speaker you tuck somewhere strategic, and a wireless remote that reaches from up to 100 feet away. Press the button, pick from a menu of unnervingly realistic sound effects, and let the confusion unfold. The whole kit is about $16. Slip the speaker under a couch cushion at a gathering, behind a plant by the front door, wherever inspiration strikes. Juvenile? Completely. Also one of the most consistently 5-star prank products on Amazon, because sometimes surviving a neighbor feud is less about winning and more about laughing your way through it. $3,500 lumens per head, bright enough to turn a backyard into a stadium parking lot at midnight. This solar floodlights run entirely on the sun, storing charge in a built-in 2500 mAh battery, catch motion from up to 60 feet out, and carry 3 heads you can aim in 3 directions at once. 3 modes cover a full brightness security blast, a dim ambient glow, or motion only. They are weatherproof, fully wireless, and free to run once you own them, and a 2-pack goes for about $30. Mount them over the garage, along the fence, or aimed at that dark side yard people keep slipping through, because darkness is every trespasser's best friend, and these take it away entirely. Ever get the feeling something is hovering just past the tree line, watching your backyard? This is how you find out for sure. The Drone Detector Scout listens for the specific radio and control signatures that consumer drones give off and alerts you the instant one drifts into your airspace before it is close enough to see over the fence. It was one of the first devices built specifically to answer the peeping drone problem, and it sweeps the frequency bands hobby drones actually fly on rather than blinking at every stray signal. The unit runs about $199 direct from Drone Detector. For anyone who has watched a neighbor's quadcopter creep a little too close to the bedroom window, this trades that uneasy feeling for a hard, time-stamped answer. For about $7, you can turn every window in the house into a one-way mirror. This Kawava's privacy film goes on with nothing but soapy water, no glue, no adhesive, no damage to the glass. In daylight, anyone peering in from outside gets their own reflection staring back, while your view from inside stays completely clear. It also blocks 98% of UV and trims heat transfer, which quietly lowers cooling bills in summer. One honest caveat: the mirror effect flips after dark once your indoor lights are on, so you still want curtains at night. But for shutting out a neighbor who cannot stop staring through your windows during the day, this is the easiest, cheapest fix on the whole list. Remember the classic hidden cricket noisemaker? This one comes with a remote. The Shengsen Cricket Maker lets you trigger realistic chirps and random beeps on command from up to 65 feet away, instead of leaving it to fire on its own schedule. That means you decide the exact moment the chaos lands. The battery holds for months, the device is tiny enough to hide almost anywhere, and a magnetic back sticks it to metal without a scrap of tape, all for about $16. A remote turns this from a passive gag into something you time with precision. Dinner hour, quiet time, the exact second your target finally relaxes. Strategic deployment is the whole game. When things escalate past pranks and you actually need proof of what happened, a body camera changes the entire conversation. The Babalov records in 1296p through a wide-angle lens with infrared night vision, clips to a shirt pocket or a jacket lapel, and runs up to 10 hours on a charge. Every recording carries a date and timestamp, which is what makes the footage usable for a police report, an HOA complaint, or a legal dispute. It is compact enough that most people never notice it is there, and it costs about $40. Hopefully you never need it, but if a driveway confrontation turns ugly, clear timestamp footage is the difference between your word against theirs and simple, settled proof. Here's a price that barely makes sense: $36. That is the whole cost of a Wyze Cam V3. And for it, you get 1080p Full HD, color night vision, a 107-degree field of view, IP65 weather sealing, and two-way audio. Motion and sound detection, push alerts to your phone in real time, and custom detection zones filter out the false alarms from trees, cars, and drifting shadows. It works indoors or out with no modification, and it genuinely rivals cameras that cost 5 times more. Add a 32GB micro SD card for continuous local recording, or run their cloud plan for a couple of bucks a month. Either way, at this price, there is no excuse to leave a single corner of the property unwatched. Earlier, we covered film for visual privacy. This handles the audio side of the same window. Soundproof window inserts are custom-cut acrylic panels that attach to your existing frame with adhesive magnetic strips. The sealed air gap between the insert and the original glass creates a dead air buffer that knocks outside noise down by up to 50%. They come out cleanly with no damage, stay invisible from the street, and need no permanent changes to the window. Depending on the dimensions, they start around $79 and climb with size. They are a favorite in loud city apartments, but they work just as well against a barking dog next door, weekend backyard parties, or the lawnmower that fires up every Saturday at 7 sharp. We will close the list with something a little different. If you have ever felt like someone might be watching or tracking you, this is a multifunction detector that sweeps for hidden cameras, GPS trackers, RF bugs, and listening devices in one pass. It covers a frequency range from 1 MHz all the way to 6.5 GHz and uses LED signal indicators to walk you to the exact source. A magnetic field mode hunts down GPS trackers stuck to a car or tucked in a bag, and the infrared lens scanner lights up pinhole cameras your naked eye would never catch. It is about $50. Whether you are sizing up a suspicious neighbor or sweeping a rental before you unpack, the K18 Plus hands you a level of certainty most people never think about until it is far too late. And that is exactly the kind of peace of mind worth ending on. Some problems never take a day off, so your fix should not either. The Bonzo anti-bark box automatically picks up barking within 75 feet and answers with an ultrasonic frequency dogs dislike and humans cannot hear at all. 3 selectable frequencies let it adapt to different breeds and bark patterns, and it runs on batteries so you can mount it on a fence post or wall facing the problem yard. It is about $30. Unlike a handheld deterrent that needs you standing there, the Bonzo does not care whether you are home, awake, or 3 time zones away. It works around the clock, rain or shine, doing the job whether you are there or not. And to close the boundary out for good, these artificial boxwood hedge panels turn any dull fence into an instant green privacy wall. Each panel is UV resistant, fade proof, and interlocks with the next using zip ties, so you cover as much or as little of the fence as you want. There is no watering, no trimming, no seasonal upkeep, and from even a few feet away, they read as surprisingly real. A 12-panel pack covering about 32 square feet is around $65 depending on brand and size. If your neighbor has a habit of peering over the fence, or you just want the backyard to feel like your own again, these hand you instant privacy without waiting 3 years for a real hedge to fill in. That is 45 ways to make a difficult neighbor rethink every decision that led them to your fence line. From motion-activated sprinklers to a birdhouse that quietly retrains their dog. Every product is linked right below in the description, in order, so tap whatever you need. If any of these made you grin, do the channel a favor and hit like, then subscribe to Bravo Gadgets so the next roundup finds you. And if you have got a neighbor story that beats everything on this list, drop it in the comments, we read them. See you in the next one.